welcome to Fit Summit and this panel discussion on riding the rhythm. It's really all about the future of the indoor cycling category. My name's Paddy Murray. I am the Global VP of Marketing and International Sales at Stages Cycling, and I've been in this category for nearly 17 years now. There's some guys at Stages that have been around even longer than that. Our design team had a hand in designing the very first Johnny G spin bike back in '95. So yeah, we've seen a fair amount. There's nothing, mind you, that has, in terms of the pace of innovation, it's probably the last 4 or 5 years has by far been the fastest in terms of the evolution of where the space is going to. Over the last 18 months, during the COVID period, we've really taken the time to invest even heavier in the technology side of the business. We've been working with some of our operators to deliver some connected at-home experiences, which pretty much mimic exactly what's going on in the studio and can run concurrently at the same time. We're lucky to be working with some of the world's top operators. SoulCycle, Lifetime Fitness, David Lloyd's, Equinox, Evolution Wellness, Crew, Absolute, and Pure. And actually in Asia, we see some of the most exciting innovation that's happening in this space, which is actually really cool to see. For the rest of 2021, I really hope that you guys have a very prosperous time. I know we're getting towards the end of the year. We've really seen some great growth in the second half of the year. Asia, Europe, LATAM, and North America have come back really strongly for us, which is super exciting. We also made our 150,000th bike, which is a bit of a milestone for us. And we're really bullish on the outlook for 2022 and believe that that's going to be really good for the overall sector in general, which is great. I hope you guys have a really good time at this panel and learn something. There's some incredible speakers with a broad range of knowledge across this subject. Enjoy the rest of Fit Summit. Thank you to Ross and the team for putting it on, and have a fantastic 2022. Here's a virtual cheers from me. I look forward to seeing some of you guys in person, and have a great time and enjoy.
All right. Well, first and foremost, everybody, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. We've got an amazing panel from all over the world. It's an unbelievable diverse panel from Asia, South America, and North America of a lot of business and thought leaders in the industry. I'm Eric Jaworsky. I'm a senior vice president with Stages Cycling. I've been in the fitness industry for 18 years, 11 of which has been with Stages. During my time with Stages, our focus is heavily around the indoor cycling space, group fitness, and cycling technology. And so I'm really honored to be here as a moderator on this panel. And I want to thank everybody once again. Thank you for joining in and watching from afar. So to get going, let's go ahead and kick it around for individual introductions. If you can take 1 minute or less to introduce yourself briefly, what you do and who you are, that would be great. So Ben, let's start with you.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Eric. So I'm Ben, a shorter for Benjaporn Karoonkornsakul. Very long. So I'm the founder and the CEO of Absolute You Studio. We are, I'd call one of the pioneer in boutique fitness studio in Thailand, and then branch out into Singapore as well. So we have in total, I believe, 13 studios 10 in Bangkok and 3 in Singapore, 3 in Singapore. This is our 19 years into the business. And in addition to the boutique studios, we actually have a wellness resort in Koh Samui and also a health food kind of section. So we're more of a fitness and a wellness kind of space. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Our main principle, which is quite unique, is that we offer a combination of the yoga and Pilates and cycling.
Excellent. Thanks, Ben. 19 years. Congratulations. That's amazing. All right, Pat, how about you?
Hi, good morning, everybody. Pat Regan here. I'm the Vice President of Procurement and Supply Chain and Project Management here for Lifetime. So this is my 43rd year in this wonderful industry. 19 of those have been with Lifetime. Lifetime's a healthy way of life resort destination. We're really not a gym. We're so much more than that. And from our point of view, right? We own more aquatics, water than anybody else in North America, operating all of our pools. We've got a cycle studio, obviously personal training, but we've got full cafes, full spas inside of our destinations. And so we're excited to be here, part of this illustrious panel and kicking around a few topics. So I appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat. Just getting started in the industry. That's fantastic. Okay. All right, Eduardo, kick it over to you.
Good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to be with all of you. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I work at Bodytech. I'm a fitness director for Bodytech. Bodytech's a 100 club chain. We are located in 17 different states all over Brazil, but most of our operations are in Rio. In Rio, we have 25 locations. Our clubs offer activities from 6 months to 70 years. So it's for the whole family. And group class in Brazil, I don't know all the countries in the world, but group class and specific indoor cycle is very, very popular. We're facing, as we mentioned before, I think Brazil is like 3 or 4 months behind all of you. So we're still suffering a lot. We're still using masks, social distance, differentiation between different states, different protocols. It's kind of crazy. But I think I'm very optimistic. I see a blue ocean for us, since in Brazil, most of the people go to the gym because of or gaining weight or gaining muscle or losing weight. But I see a bright future for us because people, I think, are afraid to death and they are becoming to a member because they need to prioritize their health.
Excellent. Thank you, Eduardo. Look forward to hearing more from you. Okay, Jim.
You bet. Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here with this unbelievable panel. My name is Jim Liggett. I'm the president and founder of Stages Cycling. We started the business 12 years ago this month, actually. And my time in the industry has been about 17 years. And we have had the privilege of working with great customers around the world like Lifetime Fitness and others. And our focus is completely on the cyclist. And the way we define the cyclist is the cycling facility as a priority and the cycling consumer. And our company has evolved over the years from simply being one that's focused on the cycling modality to one that's focused on the cycling experience. As all of you know, the consumer appetite for a fitness experience has changed over the years, and it's become a lot different for manufacturers like ours in terms of what we provide for that consumer, no matter where they are. And we see that continuing to change and evolve. And I think this panel is a great way for us to learn and listen and understand how we can get better. So thanks for including me in this. This is fantastic.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Okay, everyone, thank you. What an amazing group we have here. I think it's going to be a fun discussion. So we'll go ahead and dive right in. First question, and Ben, we'll have you start this one. What are your thoughts on at-home connected cycling offerings? What is working and what is not working in this ever-growing market? And in your opinion, who is winning the race for success and market share?
I really think that, it's such a huge opportunity that we as a, operator, as you call it, to definitely look into it closely. And I say because of the COVID, it has forced us, to get into it. I would say more like a jump into it. without much preparation. It's not like you have time to develop the products and then launch and all that. So you kind of jump into it and got into it and you experience it. Same with the home consumer. Without this COVID, a lot of people probably wouldn't have thought about it, wouldn't have experienced. Same with us. So I think everyone kind of get into it without preparation. It's more like a reaction of the situation. And I think, going forward, it will be such a great complementary to each other. And it's such a huge business, that we ourselves, Absolute You and Absolute Cycle, we definitely, have looked into it, have, jumped into it. And now we'll continue to develop further from this. I think what's working and not working, I guess, we all learn from a big market, which is in the US. The biggest player, I guess, as we all know, it's Peloton's, who, the stocks has gone up like that, like for the last 2 years and all that. I think, we learn from that. And then, we slowly, learn how it works and all that. So we are still in a development stage, I would call it, but I think there's a lot of challenges I've seen ourselves as well, like in Asia. Obviously scalability, volumes, and subscribers are the key factors for this business. And then that's how you get your value, and that's how you make your money from out of that. But the challenge in Asia is that we have such a diverse in terms of languages. So, like one production or one class somehow, it doesn't fit with everyone. It's not like in the US where you have 200 million people, so one class, everyone speaks the same languages. So here is quite a challenge in the sense that even for us, all our instructors are teaching in English. And when we film in Thailand with all the Thai instructor, and then we have Singapore, we thought they would cross, but they actually don't cross so much, even though the language is the same language that we use. So I think in order to scale it up, the challenge will be quite a lot in terms of the diversity of the group, even though we're Asian, but we all speak different languages. And I don't think that, to do all this just to serve Thailand itself or just to serve Singapore itself, it justifies the investment, especially if you want to develop further and getting more, not complicated, sophisticated with your offering, you require a lot of investment. So I think that's a challenge that we'll face in terms of if we wanted to do something to serve Asian market. I think that's what we're facing, and that's something that we need to make certain decision as well in terms of how we want to go about it. What language? Obviously, it's going to be in English, and how do we want to feature so that it appeal to different demographic, different country. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, thanks, Ben. That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack there. I think we certainly have witnessed your transition early in the pandemic to the Absolute Cycle Home Edition, which has been really fun to watch and see how quickly you were able to move into that space. So we'll continue cheering you on and watching that. That's fantastic. Eduardo, how about in South America? What are your thoughts?
Oh, I really believe I wouldn't say that the future of indoor cycle will be primarily home-based, but I think it will play a major role because most of the people with our gyms were closed for 5 or 6 months. A lot of people experience some kind of class, and I think it's a big opportunity for our clubs to have them inside of our clubs. And I think with all the products that you offer to our clients, Connect Fitness, I think indoor cycle now it's far better experience than it used to be, and this is I think is brilliant. And I think more people could come to our clubs. And in Brazil, we have a big challenge because we have just 5% of our population working in a health club. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. That's why I see a blue ocean for us. But I really believe I completely agree with Ben. I think it's going to be complementary. Things that are not working right now. We lost a lot of instructors. We have 3,500 instructors in our clubs. And in Brazil, there is a law that you have to have instructor. I can have a cycling studio that with all the equipment that we have, if we don't have instructor inside. It's crazy, but that's how the law is in Brazil. So every gym that you have, every floor that you have, you need to have instructor. So we have a lot of employees and we lost a lot of them because most of them start doing classes on different platforms like Zoom, Instagram. But I think most of the experience were not good because I wouldn't say in a situation right now, how can you give a class on Instagram where the instructor can see the client? So it's very confusing, but what that was with the way that they could offer their service and they get some money from that. But I really believe that in the future is going to be hybrid. And I think we have the opportunity to have people doing that maybe were afraid to come to the gym. They don't feel like they belong to the gym, but they already start a new business. And I'm very optimistic because of that. And I think the result is going to be we have more people and we have more audience. And that's what you said is happening in Asia. I think it's going to happen all over the world.
Excellent. Thank you, Eduardo. That's some interesting statistics you threw out there, and probably a lot of stuff people don't realize in terms of the instructor base and some of the regulations down there that you have to overcome. So it'd be interesting to hear and follow that. Thank you. Pat, how about you?
Well, I can echo Eduardo and Ben's sentiments. I do think, starting at the end here, I mean, today, Peloton is winning the race, right? But in recent history, it's less about, as a public company, it's less about their EBITDA, their earnings. It's more about what's the future look like? What's the future look like for subscriptions? It's a subscription model. That's what it is, right? And you can see by what's happened with their subscription, missing the mark on their subscription base. They're losing some inertia publicly with funding, and their stock is showing that. So they're clearly leading. They've got iFit, you've got Stages is getting in there, you've got Echelon, but they're the market leader certainly in the U.S. I think Ben makes a really good case that hey, it's way more complex outside of this little cocoon of North America. When you've got, whether it's in Asia or in Europe, where you have people speaking, they're multilingual, and it's way more complex to create a digital experience for that kind of situation. I think it's an and. I agree with Ben and Ross. It's and, not or. You have to have a digital omni-channel experience and an in-club experience. It's not an or, for a club operator. I'm not afraid. Lifetime doesn't fear in-home fitness. We have 170 really large locations. Average size is over 120,000 square feet. We're family-based. We have a lot of offerings. And at the end of the day, yes, we're going to have some digital home offerings, right? We will. We think that's the way forward as an and, not an or. But people are, Ben made reference to it. They're herd animals, right? We want to be together. We want to have this tribal experience inside a facility as well. So to me, I think there's going to be there's just shared real estate inside a club and digitally that I think operators just have to kind of change their perspective on it and embrace it, not fear it.
Thanks, Pat. That's excellent. I like the and, not or. I think that resonates. And I think we all have to adopt that. That's not going to change. Okay, Jim, you want to finish this out here?
You bet. Those are all great comments. And I think what I'd add to that is that when you think about home fitness, there's an old saying that goes, what's old is forever new. And recently, we've thought a lot about home fitness as being the result of COVID and the pandemic, when the truth is home fitness has been around for a long time. And it's just changed and morphed in different ways. And it's been a very interesting trend to watch the last couple of years. All of us have been thinking about it. Like everybody on this call, in early 2020, we were scared to death at what was happening almost overnight around the world with the pandemic. All the fitness clubs and studios effectively closing in about a 3-week period or being impacted severely by COVID. And so I think in those days, everybody thought fitness was entirely going to shift to the home market then. And then we certainly have seen that trend, and we certainly have seen, we've talked about companies that have benefited so hugely from that trend. But the reality is, and this is what I'm really encouraged by when I think about our industry in commercial fitness, is that the fitness club industry has come back in a big way. Almost, everywhere in the world where we see membership numbers, whether it's in Minneapolis or Paris or Southeast Asia, or in pick a region of the world, we're seeing really, really strong membership numbers coming back, which I think should be an incredible encouragement to everybody on this video conference. And so we look at home fitness, and our thought on that is the commercial fitness industry has a really unique opportunity to extend their brand. And we believe that the consumer brands around the world that are only trying to generate those subscriptions by effectively taking members from the fitness club or studio industry are really, we believe that's the wrong strategy. We believe the strategy is to focus on that member within the facility and extend the brand into the home. And so we think that's a model that really has legs. And if you look at the history of in-home fitness, there are winners that do really, really well, and then the consumer gets kind of fickle and they move on to something else. It's a tough industry to only be focused on. But when you're the operator and you have that relationship with the consumer and you are really building that relationship over a long period of time, you've got we think a really unique opportunity to win and win over time. And then the last thing I'd say is, from our perspective, the consumer is going to tell us what to do. And I think we have to listen really carefully and provide the experience in the home that makes the most sense to the consumer. And because of that unique relationship with a fitness club or a studio, you have a chance to really understand uniquely what they want to do when they're working out in the home. And we think that's an exciting opportunity. These consumer trends are going to change and grow. 10 years ago, there'll be different consumer trends, but the fitness club and the facility will still be primary, we think, in the eyes of the consumer. So that's where we're going to spend our time, is helping that fitness club, helping that brand extend into the consumer environment.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim. Thanks. So I think the words I wrote down: complementary and or hybrid. I think everybody's coming at this from the same angle, where at the end of the day, this is not just a fad. It's here to stay. And ultimately, I think from our perspective in the commercial fitness space, opening the eyes to more users and more exercisers is certainly a positive thing. And so at the ultimately, we want to drive them into the clubs and the studios for a variety. And I think that's what we're starting to see come around as the world begins to open back up. So very, very positive movement here. Thanks, guys. Let's move on to the second question. How has COVID reshaped the in-club cycling experience for club operators and their members? Pat, let's start with you on this one.
Well, for first off, we don't want to put as many people inside our studios. I mean, many of our studios have over 60 bikes inside of them. So we've taken that number down a little bit. And then we also have morphed a little bit into offering classes that have on-bike and ground-based training. So you're on your bike, you're off your bike. And so we like that a lot. Our members have told us they like that. We do know that cycling is so popular. I mean, to Jim's point, COVID really it drove people out of our clubs. It forced us to close. In reopening, the first people to come back were people that either took cycling classes or are free weight people, right? So those two segments came back with a vengeance, and we stayed connected with them. It was really important. Like I mentioned, the omni-channel approach, which everybody in the world is the most overused word now in the world is omni-channel. But I think it's important to have a digital-based training and an in-club experience. And to us, people are coming back to our clubs. They want that experience. And Eduardo had made reference to it. One of the things that's changed is our availability to get quality trainers into the club, right? I don't know where all these people have gone. I don't know what they're doing for a living anymore. But he's absolutely right. The human capital part of this COVID situation is perplexing. And that's something that I don't call it a threat, but it's where you've got to focus your opportunity is how do you get quality employees and team members and colleagues to come in and teach that. And we can talk about it later on in the question, but it's probably paying them more money. But we're full steam ahead. I don't think COVID's really dinged our cycle program at all. It's something that it's the one thing that since cycling has been invented years and years ago, has done nothing but go upward every year. It's just something that everyone's learned how to do when they're young, and it's a closed chain exercise. It's safe for everybody. So we see great things in the future for Lifetime in cycling.
Interesting. That's an interesting comment, Pat. I haven't heard the comment about first people to come back were cyclists. I think that's telling for what really happened within COVID with the boom in the entire cycling industry. I mean, the outdoor cycling business just exploded. And I think it's brought awareness around the category that just simply might not have been there with our type of demographic. And now it is. So it's interesting to hear.
The other thing, in closing, best thing to happen to a company like Peloton was COVID, right? I mean, and they took great advantage of it. Bravo to them. People are tired of being in their home. And my guess is the addressable market is shrinking. I mean, the people that really wanted to go out and do in-home fitness, by and large, went out and did that over the last year and a half. So how much of an addressable market is left for that? That's a question that we all need to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, thanks, Pat. Eduardo, you want to take this one on?
Sure. I agree with Pat. I think one of the biggest challenges that we have, I think the responsible now and the future is going to be in our operation as a club operator that we have, because you as a provider, you already have all the productions of different bikes, digital content. I think the adventure of the power training made a huge improvement in the cycle options that we have, for the last 5 years. And I think the future right now is going to be, I believe in our business it's not fitness, it's our people business. So we need to get interacted with our clients. We still have in Brazil a big concern and this is affect a lot our classes because we still have to use the mask. So we have to change our format, our class. We couldn't do a heat class with the mask. It's impossible. So all the people that are very familiar with cycling, they decide to do their workout at home without mask and doing whatever they want. So we're still having the same problem that Pat mentioned. Most of our clubs have 50 bikes, and because of the social distance, I have 25. So it's very confusing. But I think the future is going to be hybrid. I think people learn that it's possible to train with all the equipment that we have right now. It's possible. So maybe it's going to increase our orientation. That's a big challenge for all of us. So people, instead of going 3 days, a class is going to be 2. but I think that it has to be complementary, and the experience that you deliver at home has to be it has to be as high as it is online. So this is a big challenge, because the whoever doesn't experience this is going to have a big problem. And I believe that Peloton and all the digital apps that we have put our clients to see different kind of instructors. So the level, I think, is a little bit higher, because people are expecting to have the same experience.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thanks, Eduardo. That's fantastic. I think with that, why don't we flip to question number 3, because I think it's very complimentary, and would like to have Jim and Ben start this off, and then follow with Eduardo and Pat. And following along with what Pat and Eduardo were saying in terms of advancements, digital technology, et cetera. Jim, you want to take this one on first? Where do you see operators now investing for better facilities and member experiences?
Sure, I'll be glad to take that on. I would like to say, though, back to the previous question, it's been interesting to watch. Peloton is on everybody's mind, of course, but really that's a situation that primarily focused in North America and in the UK, and it's limited globally in terms of their reach. And we've seen a broad array of fitness clubs and studios launch home cycling initiatives in their markets. And it's been interesting to see. Just one data point I wanted to share is that, by and large, these organizations that have launched home cycling programs that extend their brands into the homes of their members have seen a net increase in participation in classes per week. So we most definitely are seeing a trend, regardless of the market around the world, where the member who subscribes to a class online in the home that mirrors the facility class is participating in group cycling more often than they were when the home experience wasn't offered. So we think that's a great opportunity for fitness facilities around the world, and we're seeing that trend in various markets, not limited to one market. But Eric, back to your question about investment in this type of technology. The one thing I would say, and I do think the point that was made that the experience has to be as good as the facility experience for the member, I do think that's a really good point to make. I would also say that the industry doesn't have to hit a home run to pull this off. And we feel strongly, and this is based on the data that we're seeing, that of course the instructor is a critical piece of this. Music, which is a complicated topic on streaming classes and providing classes in the home, is tricky, and it's one not to be taken lightly. But I also would say that the entire experience does not have to be the best in the world. It needs to be really good, no question about it. So I think it's not a daunting challenge for the facility. This can be done with partnering with different providers. It can be done with certainly there has to be investment. There has to be consideration given to content over time and offering an ever-growing number of classes to the member. But I think one of the barriers to getting out the door with this is there's a sense that we see that there has to be a home run hit from the beginning in terms of the quality of the experience. The data would suggest that the member is so excited to be able to experience that class from their home that you can get going with a good experience and then build on it from there. It doesn't have to all be done at once. And so our view on this is get started. We think the biggest mistake is not to offer anything at all, because the consumer clearly wants this experience with their favorite brand, which is typically going to be the fitness club. So, we see a lot of hesitation around the world trying to figure it out. What's the perfect way to make this happen? And our suggestion is it's better to get started than not do anything at all.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim. A good way to put it. I mean, I think people follow people, right? It's the people, as mentioned on this panel earlier, that's the most important thing, human interaction. And you grasp onto those individuals that you like and you like to follow, and then that's what you're going to do. So thanks, Jim. Okay, Ben, you want to take this one on?
So during the 6 months that we closed down, we forced to jump into all this. So we film a lot of classes, both cycling, both yoga, and also as well as the Pilates reformer. So interestingly, so with that now the COVID's kind of almost, hopefully, has come to almost an end, and then we will be able to offer, a normal studio operation. But we actually bring that digital content back into the studio. So it is also a hybrid, not hybrid in the sense that you have a physical studio and you have a home bike or, a reformer at home, but we actually will have a mix of offering between a real physical class and also a digital online content in a large screen at the studio. So we're actually bringing that back, because you film one video, you want as many eyeballs to look at it as many as possible. So we actually now, in terms of facilities in the studio, we actually install a huge LED screen, a huge screen, for rhythm cycling, and bring that back to the studio. And also we offer that as well for our Pilates and also our yoga, so that we can run a physical instructor as well as a digital instructor. So and to that, we actually launched earlier this year, unfortunately, and then we were closed for most of the year. So now we have to relaunch it. We actually launched an Absolute Cycle virtual studio. So the studio mainly will be, it's like a physical studio. Members come together and all that and ride together. But we actually will teach, broadcast. It's like you coming to a cinema. So, so basically we broadcast in the digital. And then we have, instead of having an instructor, we actually would have, we call it an absolute cheerleader. So there will be somewhat, an experienced rider, but they're not an instructor, which it will help a lot, to overcome the issue of finding a good instructor. Or how do you get one, class where they can teach maybe 60 riders or this popular or superstar instructor to live stream this class into more studios. So we actually, that's actually part of our new project that we'll be launching a lot of hybrid.
Got it. Very interesting. Open up the category. Absolute cheerleader. That's a good phrase. Good name for somebody out there, cheering people on, getting them excited, exercising. So
but the skills will be much less. Basically, you just want someone who and a lot of them would love to be that leader of the pack. So I think so that's what we're developing at the moment.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Thanks, Ben. Eduardo, how about you?
I think we have so many options with technology that we learned during the COVID. And I think one of the big challenges to choose the technology is the vehicle for your experience. So it's not just getting one bike, one app or something like this. I mean, you have to make sure that the technology that you choose as a club operator is gonna deliver the experience that your member wants. And I think the expectations are very high, but I believe it's a hybrid model. And I think in the near future, I think we'll still have more people to get in the cycle studio, because more people learn how to bike, how to use their bike. The bikes are much better than used to be in the past. So I think on the future, we're gonna have more people getting into the class. And I think it's that you mentioned in Asia with the crazy things that are happening on studios, because people are buying bikes. I have a chance to speak with Franco Hurk, and he told me that the market is very, very hot there. And I really believe that someday it's going to come to Brazil. But I think the expectation is going to be very high, and safety is going to be something that we have to live forever, because people are still concerned about safety.
I think that's a very good point, Eduardo. I think as we look through the last 18 plus months. At any given time, regions of the world are hot, are cold, the regulations are different. We're just feeling our way through it. And what you said, I think, stands, and, hopefully we'll see it all come together soon. So thank you for your comments. Okay, we'll move on to question number 4, and we'll start with Pat. Question number 4, what new cycling innovations, technologies, and developments can we expect to see both at home and in the commercial world that will further improve indoor experiences in 2022 and beyond?
Oh, that's a hard one. To kind of tie this question into what Ben and Eduardo, I totally so agree with them that, what are the new innovations? I think, first of all, innovation is going to have to come from the operators, the club owners, right? I mean, Ben and both Eduardo said, it's a people business. It is about the relationships, that coveted relationship. And our job is to make sure that we're developing program, and it's the best programming out there. So the innovations in the cycle world are going to come from the operators who own that coveted relationship with their members, and bringing programming and best in class programming, ever changing programming to them, right? So that's blended with that coveted relationship is very, very powerful. Again, from the operator standpoint, and then from, what innovations can come in cycling, I agree with Ben. I mean, we put up large screens in our studios. We've put up filming. We film in a lot of our studios. No, we put a lot of expense into making these studios experience over the top. And by doing that, it automatically enhances our in-home experience, because that same content is being delivered in home. Where I see the puck going, or where I see the ball going, as far as innovations and development, I believe that we're wiring all of our clubs now to future-proof them, to make sure that we can have a bike like the SB20 or the solo bike. And so if we have to compete with that in-club experience, at-home experience, and create that ever-going omni-channel, we can do that swiftly. So we are doing that right now. Every club that we're building is going to be wired so that if we want to put either one of those two modalities in, we're ready to go. I do think, I love the SB20 bike. So where is it going? I think training should be going with, this is just my personal point of view, but it needs to be going so that, hey, if I'm an instructor, I'm controlling your bike, I'm controlling your experience. You can always opt out of that if you want. And so if Eric, if you're giving a class and you're cranking up the tension and my bike's following you and I can't follow you, I have the ability to turn that down to meet my level. But that's where the experience, I believe, should go. That's right. That's why I think the SB20 bike is very interesting for the industry and something like that. So that's just where I think it's going. I'm not an operator. That's why I so respect Ben and Eduardo. I'm behind the scenes. I support the operations, right? I'm in procurement, but I see all of these things. It's very exciting for me to see it, to see how the business grows, and how, whether it's Ben, whether it's Eduardo, all across the world, we're playing offense. We're not playing defense. We're expanding our product offering. We're actually getting better. So.
Love that. Playing offense, not playing defense, future-proofing. I think that's those two things, golden. And I think you just teed Jim up nicely. I'm going to pass it on to him for next person to answer this question.
Well, I'll tell you this much: the way we have thought about the consumer for years has been to listen to the operator, listen to the fitness club, because they're the ones that really have the pulse on the consumer. And, we know this for certain within the cycling category. As an example, cyclists love to be in a group. And you see cyclists outside, and you certainly see them riding alone, but group cycling, whether it's indoors or whether it's outdoors, will always be the key factor in a successful experience. And so as we've thought about this, we'd say a couple of things. It was mentioned earlier, I think Pat mentioned it and so did Eric, that the cycling category has grown in the last couple of years. Outdoor cycling has grown. Participation in indoor cycling has grown as well. But there's a lot of different consumer interests and consumer preferences within cycling. Some cyclists like an experience that's more performance oriented. Some of them like just more of a fitness experience, a more rhythm orientation. So we think it's important to cater to a wide variety of cyclists. And we know all of you do a really good job of offering a performance-based type of class and a rhythm type of class, and a lot of things in between. Some that are combinations of that. So we think in terms of investment, the way we're thinking about that as a manufacturer is to invest in technology that allows the facility to offer the right experience for their member where they want to have that experience. It might not be at home. It might not be in the studio. It might be on the floor of the facility. So we believe that, being able to offer the studio experience to your member on the floor of the facility, for example, is important. We also think the home is important for the same reason. So our vision of this is allow your member to experience, whether it's their instructor or a different instructor, where they want to experience it on that day. And so, within the cycling modality, we joke around all the time that, indoor stationary cycling is getting on a bike and going nowhere. What really has to be invested in is not just the feature on the bike, but that experience, meaning the software experience or the ride experience. And we also would say, and I'd say this in closing, there's been a lot of comments here about the instructors, and we've seen the same thing. It's a bizarre thing. Everybody's trying to hire people. It seems like nobody can find anybody to work. And within the instructor community, we think technology can help the facility operator provide, maybe the instructor isn't the best in class. Technology can help make that instructor better. And we believe that giving your members a good experience is the key to cycling. Technology can help that average instructor or maybe the new instructor perform better at their job.
Excellent. Thanks, Jim. I think we're seeing a common theme here around technology and digital and hybridization and just the advancement of what the whole community looks like. So let's move on to number 5 here. We'll start with Eduardo. At home and in club, what are your expansion plans and targets for the next 1 to 2 years?
I think that we have a big challenge in Brazil because of we don't have all the features in technology. Most of the people that have bikes at home, they have a cheaper bike, so the bike doesn't talk with the bike that we use at our gyms. But I think in the future, we're gonna have this, and we are in surviving mode right now because we are facing we have 80% of our clients when we compare to pre-pandemic, but the biggest challenge that our economic we are not having 80% of our income. That's a big challenge because most of the people are still paying from some because of the club were closed, so we're still facing difficult times. But as Bodytech, you always thought about having a good experience, to have the best equipment, the best instructors, and the best service that we could provide. We still don't have too much boutiques in Brazil. It's still kind of difficult to have over here, but I think in the future it's going to have because the investment's a lot less than to a big club. So we are very concerned nowadays in how we survive. We still have a difficult time because of our economics. Just for you to have an idea, all of you have an idea. Pre-pandemic, the dollar was $1 was R$4. Now it's almost 7. So the gas increased 50%, inflation. So it's a big concern. And our ticket, it's about $140. It's almost half of the minimum wage in Brazil. So it's a very pretty difficult time. But I really believe, and I believe in our business because, and people are concerned about health. They want to interact. When we open the club, people, when we open a cycling studio, people get in, all the classes are packed. So I really believe that we survive on this. We're going to have to return to the path of expansion, and we cannot stop in our kind of club, as I believe in it happens on Lifetime and Band 2. We need to invest a lot in equipment and the best technology that we have, because that's our member expectation. But I think in the future, we have to do this. There's no way we can forget about this. Otherwise, we're going to lose our experience that we provide for them.
Gotcha. Thank you, Eduardo. Experience is the most important thing, and how you get there is the key, right? Okay, Ben, you want to take this one on?
I wouldn't call it like we are reopening, but it's more like we are actually opening a new studio, even though it's not new. Well, you need to retrain everyone. You need to do a huge marketing. And then, so now what I get my staffs and all the team just to think, including the instructors and everyone, is like, just think of it as you open a new studio. What do? You don't just come and shout out a little bit here and there, like a maintaining things. No, everything has to be done like to the max. So I think that's one challenge that we are facing, and hopefully we'll get out of this within 3 to 6 months. As I said, if you're opening anything new, usually it's the first 3 to 6 months that's challenge to build your base and all that. But what's exciting for us in terms of expansion is just like I kind of mentioned a little bit here and there. Obviously we jump into the Absolute Cycle Home Edition, so we will continue to develop that. But it will take a little bit of a more, like I would call it, when we did that during pandemic, it's just more like a time pressure. Whatever you have, you throw it out. Yeah, because and it works for that time. Everyone forgive for, what you can offer and all that. But if now we're looking at it as more like a real serious, proper business where it's not just a short term, 3 months, 6 months, but it's more for a long term. So, it has to be a lot, of thought and depth into it, whether it's the hardware or the software. So I think that's a lot to do with our development. And hopefully for the next 2 years, we'll be able to, have a product that we really proudly feature. We actually just built a new filming studio only. In the past, obviously, you film in the studio that you don't use. Now we actually, rent a new space and use that space and then put up everything just for filming mainly. And then, like I mentioned, we're not only going to do that on cycling, but we're also going to do that with other exercise that we offer. We're actually opening new studios, 2 new studios in Singapore for the next 3 months. So will be a hybrid studio where you will see both physical instructor and a stream offering. So, and going forward for the next 24 months, we're really going to be focusing a lot on a virtual studio where the investment become much less, the reliance on instructors become zero. So you can be anywhere in the corner in the neighborhood or anything, but you can really just do a class from an instructor that we will be inviting, because we have quite a bit of connection with some of the superstars, or at least very, very popular instructors in the US or, in Europe, that we can invite them in, come and film a class, 100 classes, 50 classes, all in one go, and slowly launch that. So I think, that's something that we're planning to do in terms of studio expansion, where, it really cut out the whole problems that you guys are talking about in terms of instructors.
Very interesting, Ben. Congratulations on the new studio opening soon. Be good to follow that, and a lot of great information there, and I think vision of where many other operators are also going and are going to have to go. And at the end of the day, content is king, and how do you deliver that? How do you create that content, and how do you deliver that content? And I think it's through connectivity and technology. So congratulations on the forward movement. All right, so I think we're coming into nearing the end of our time. So let's go to the last question. We'll circle back around to some things that we have talked about throughout the course of these questions, which is instructors. And so how can we best address the challenge of an increasing shortage of top class instructors and trainers, and just employees for that matter, as you guys have alluded to throughout the course of this discussion? So Pat, let's start with you on this one.
I'd be a gazillionaire if I knew the answer to that. I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure where the workforce went here in the United States, but there's a lot of people that seem to have taken themselves out of it. From us collectively and from you as a manufacturer, I would say there's a couple things that we are able to at least address. One of them is Stages could come up with a really robust master cycle program, training program, incentivize people to want to come in and be a master trainer. And then that helps that helps the industry grow. It would help you become kind of the shepherd of the flock. Why is your bike better? Why is your programming better? I mean, think of it. It's all about the instructors. Your competition doesn't have a bike that's anywhere near as well built and well thought out from a geometry, telemetry standpoint than your bike, but yet they're selling them. So that's because people are uneducated about the product. So how do you get people, how do you get education? How can you incentivize trainers to become a master programmer for you? Kind of create zealot cycle instructors in your camp. And then, you could incentivize them with continuing education units, so on and so forth. But, from our standpoint, I guess we got to pay them more. I mean, if you want a good instructor, McDonald's is paying $16 an hour. Amazon's paying $17 an hour, plus they'll pay for 4 years of your education. It's a very competitive job market. So we're paying our people more, or in looking at that, giving them incentives to come to Lifetime, and help them create their brand. And I think Ben said it very well. When these people get online and have this omni-channel opportunity, they really become personalities. It has to be blended with our brand because it's a brand extension, but they really, these performers are very interesting, right? And they're very powerful. So how do we incentivize these powerful performers that already have a digital experience to come and be part of our brand? That's what we're focused on.
Yeah.
Great. Right. $1 million question, right? Okay, Jim, do you want to take this one on?
Yeah, I think Pat really hit the key points. It's really gotten tough. I mean, this is a question about instructors, but I think all of us would probably agree it's a question about all employees. And I heard a quote recently that really hit home with me, and it was from a coach in the U.S. and he said, "I'd rather have a volunteer than a hostage." And that really rang true with me. That I think we're all trying to find employees, whether they're instructors or others, that really want to be here, that really want to be a part of the organization. And so the way I'm thinking about that differently now is that treating employees more in partnership, bringing them to the table, letting them be part of the thinking around the strategy, and in the case of an instructor, getting our best instructor educators, our master educators and so forth, more involved in thinking about strategy, pulling them further into the bringing them to the table when we're thinking about solutions. And I think Pat's exactly right. We got to pay, and we got to compete. And so I think it's a combination of things for the instructor, making them feel like they're part of the strategy, giving them a voice in some of the thinking around what's being executed. And then we have to pay adequately. And you really have to do all those things. And I think employees, when they really feel like you're talking to them and they're feeling included, they're feeling valued. I mean, some of that's never changed, but it's probably more important than it is today.
Yeah, thank you, Jim. And to pile on a little bit there, I think, just providing more tools, as Pat mentioned, is from the manufacturer side, is something that we are really taking head on. Launching a new hub and new virtual trainings. It is a strong community, and it's very community oriented, and it's something that with the advancement in technology, there's a lot of education that needs to occur, and we have to be able to provide that, and we have to be able to provide those tools for those educators. And so we're working hard from a stages perspective. That is definitely on our roadmap, and we're well underway. So glad to hear you say that, Pat. Okay, Eduardo.
Yeah, I think we are having a big time of resignation from our instructors. I used to have in most of our clubs like 10 or 12 classes a day. And fortunately, I don't need that because I'm mixing with the virtual. But I'm still having, it's a big concern. I must confess that I almost don't sleep when I think things are getting back into the normal and I don't have the right people. And the big concern is that I cannot, from my perspective, I cannot have anyone doing the job because the experience, it won't come along. So I really believe in what Pat said. And it makes like paying more and find the right people. And one thing that is very, very important, our instructors, I think all over the world, learn how to make money in a different way. So, and they think they're gonna, they want to make more money. And I think there's just the desire. And I believe that we have to support them with a co-brand because it's very difficult for them to stand alone on the future if they don't have a co-partner with a brand, a big brand, because as Lifetime, they can provide them, they can make them success in their career as a stage can make if you become a master training. So I really believe that is find the right people, train very, very well, get paid and retain them. This is a big challenge. I can't sleep thinking about all of this because our business is completely about instructors and we paid a lot well than the market, but it's not necessary yet. So we have to come up with some ideas. And I think this panel was very, very good because I'm thinking with different kinds of situations that I could put in my business.
I think, unfortunately, our time has come to a close here for the panel discussion. I just want to thank all of you, each and every one, for bringing such thoughtful insight and great ideas. Our industry clearly faces challenges, but also a lot of great opportunity ahead of us. And it's going to be driven by thought leaders and business leaders such as yourselves. And thank you. Hopefully we can continue to draw from your experiences and your insights, and we'll look to continue to cheer you on and be here for you. So thank you to Ross and the Fit Summit team and everyone else. Have a wonderful day.